Hello everyone. Today we will be continuing our discussion of fair division games with what is known as the method of sealed bids. Now, up until now, the fair division methods that we've been talking about have mainly been for continuous assets. One thing that's different about the method of sealed bids is that it is designed for discrete assets. So the idea here is we have a set of indivisible objects that we are trying to divide among however many players. And the method of sealed bids is one way that we can sort of ensure that we get a fair division when we're doing this. So the method of sealed bids relies on basically different players assigning dollar values to different items in the assets. So I have an example right here on the board. So we have a fair division game with 4 players, A, B, C, and D. And we have 3 items that we are trying to divide among 4 players. So this presents a little bit of a problem, right? How do you divide 3 items among 4 players? Well, the method of sealed bids is one way that we can do that. So basically here, players A through D have all assigned dollar values to each of the 3 items, 1, 2, and 3. Now, the idea when we have the method of sealed bids is that we don't reveal everyone's bids until they've all been made. So player A does not know what player B or C or D are doing until everyone has already come up with their bids, maybe written them down on slips of paper, and then we reveal all of them at the same time. So these are our bids. Basically what we're going to do at this point is that each of the 3 items is going to go to whoever is the highest bidder. So in this case, item 1, the highest bidder is D at $180. So D is going to get item 1. Item 2, our highest bidder is B at $160. So B gets item 2. And then item 3, our highest bidder is A at $180. Now, note player C hasn't gotten anything yet. Don't worry about that, we will address that. So the next step is to figure out what is the dollar value of a fair share for each player. So for player A, the total value that they've assigned to all of the assets is $400. So 100 plus 120 plus 180. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to figure out the total bid for all of the other players. So for player B, we have 110 plus 160 plus 170. So that's going to give us 440. And then C, 400. And finally D, 480. So in the minds of each of these players, these are the dollar values of the total assets. So a fair share, since we have 4 players, is just going to be a quarter of what the total assets are worth. So in the case of player A, that would be 100, B, 110, C, 100, and D, 120. So now that we know what's a fair share for each of these players and we've decided who gets which items, we just need to figure out basically how what they have right now compares to a fair share. So in what we call the initial settlement, A gets item 3. And notice that item 3 is worth $180 to A, which is more than the fair share of 100. So what A is going to do is pay the difference, basically. So 180 minus 100, that's going to be $80. So A is going to pay $80 in addition to receiving item 3. B receives item 2, worth $160, but a fair share is only $110. So B is going to pay the difference, 160 minus 110, that's $50. So B gets item 2 and pays $50. All right, now C has not received any of the items, and a fair share for C is $100. So what we're going to say is that player C needs to get $100 from this initial settlement. And then finally, D receives item 1 worth $180, but a fair share is only $120, so D is going to pay the difference of $60. All right. Now, one thing you might notice at this point is that C is getting $100, but the amount that's being paid in total is 80 plus 50 plus 60, so that would be $190. So we have a little bit of a discrepancy here. So what we're going to do basically is at this point we're going to figure out how much of a surplus there is. So in this case, the surplus is everything that's been paid in, so $80 plus $50 plus $60 minus what needs to be paid out to C in this case, so minus $100, and this is going to give us $90 in total. So what we're going to do is basically after we do all of this, we're going to take the $90 surplus that's left, and we're going to split this evenly between all 4 of our players. So that means at the end, all 4 players are going to get an additional $22.50. So 1/4 of this $90. This is the method of sealed bids. One big limitation of the method of sealed bids is that we are assuming that all the players that are involved have enough money to shell out that they can actually do this. Also, we're assuming that all of the different items can be reasonably well assigned a price by the different players that are involved. However, for something like this, where we have, say, 3 items that we're trying to divide between 4 people, this is a pretty useful method. Thank you for watching, and of course, if you have questions, I'm always happy to help.